Yeah, and so we've started talking about some of the bigger picture messages from this period of history, but the reason that I just saw straight away a resource package for young people in this is because of the inspiration that they can take from these people. There's a philosopher called Jean-Paul Sartre, and he's actually written on World War Two. But his one of his main philosophical tracts was no excuses existentialism. So people always present themselves with excuses why not to do something. And in this situation, the Zionist youth, they must have had so many excuses just to try and maintain their own existence and not try and help other people, but they were able to ignore all these excuses and do something truly incredible with their lives and to save lives. Because these people of the Zionist youth, these were the people who were most able to escape. They were young, they were fit, healthy, they had contacts. They could have just tried to do TEOL themselves, but instead they chose to do something truly selfless and use all the skills and everything that they'd learned and all the courage that they had to try and help other people. And I think when you hear about their story, you realize that this level of selflessness is actually possible.
And it's the least what we can do is to spread the knowledge about them, and then how we made the study kit for English-speaking high schools and teachers to use, and an extraordinary classroom activity in their schools, and then we try to do as much as we can. My goal, of course, is a Netflix series like the Transatlantic, or because there are already so many books. If this camera was a little bit of a bigger, it could show a little bit of a bigger space. Like many of my shelves are full with books about this, how Jews were saving Jews during the Holocaust, how they were resisting the system, and what we can learn about them and from their activity. And we can't compare ourselves to them.
And we've started, obviously we've been thinking about a computer game for quite a while, haven't we? And we've contacted a game developer.
Yeah, that would be we need to get funds for that, for the video game, because that's a very, very big monetary investment. But when I'm talking with youngsters, then they are very interested in this game.
It would work. It would work. The game developer completely believes in the concept, doesn't he? When we've been speaking to him, he's sold on it.
Yeah, he's amazed by it, and then he did many of such games, and then it would be in Budapest, and it would the characters would be David Gur and his comrades or friends, and then how they got into the prison, and then how they survived, and how the workshop was moving from one to another apartment, and how the suitcase fell, and then how they got busted by the police, and then how they were forging the documents, and what they had to survive, and how they saved the other people. It's an interesting game, definitely.
How much do we need? 60,000 euros? Would that be enough, do you think? I think that was kind of the number that was
the least.
Okay. Get in contact. We want 60,000 euros, and we can talk if you've got 60,000 euros and you want to get on board.
And we can tell, we have the one pager as well. We can send you what this whole project is about. Just let us know if you would like to sponsor us.
Let's finish by looking at the photographs and then just talking about our further reading. So the audience have got lots of the further reading that I'm going to post is available for free, and then I've got a couple of books which I think you'd have to purchase, but if people are interested in this period of history, it's good to give them something.
Show me your photographs first.
First of all, sharing screen. Okay. Right, you can see that. So, do you want to look at your photographs first or mine?
Yours.
Okay. Right. So these are from our resource package. So just a little bit of an advertisement as well. But I think another time we do a podcast just on these 24 photographs. You and I think that would be really good. But for now, I'll show this one. So these are the Hungarian gendarme, and this is during. So I like this photograph. Like's probably not the right word, because obviously I hate it as well. But you can see the three main elements. You've got the perpetrators, and you've got the look on their face as well. I know they're having a picture taken, and it's like a photograph. Having a photograph taken is not a normal thing back then, like it is now. But to see the happiness on their face as these poor people are being dragged through, children as well, are being dragged through town, probably for the last time ever. It's almost certain that these people didn't return. They were probably murdered somewhere. So you've got the perpetrators, the glee on their face, the fact that there's not a Nazi in sight as well. These are just, everybody in this photograph is Hungarian, including these Jewish people. They're as Hungarian as these people. And then you've got the bystanders. He's just stood there with his hands in his pocket, and he's just come out to enjoy the show. There's like a young girl who's come out, and it's almost like a spectator sport. They've gone to enjoy this procession of absolute misery. And these people are just as necessary as these people. And I think that is one thing that I think students really need to understand.
Yeah, the smile on the gendarmes' faces, that's the shocking part of it, I think, and also the silent crowd that is watching the carriages with the Jews.
Yeah. I'm just going to show one more picture also in our resource package. I won't show that one, but I want to show this one because this is always. I remember the first time I saw it, and these are Hungarian Jews. I remember the first time I saw this photograph
in the second camp.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I've actually tried to work out when I went to Auschwitz. The last time I went to Auschwitz, I actually tried to work out where this is, and me and a group of students went and put some toys down for these children at the bottom of these trees. I'm not sure if you found the exact tree, but we were in the vicinity of where they must have been waiting. And I remember the first time I ever saw this, and I've never forgotten. Yeah, exactly. I think it's near the gas chamber number 4. But I remember the first time I saw this, and I've never, as much as I dislike looking at this photograph, I've shown it to so many people. I've shown it. I don't show graphic images to my students, but I do show them. There's not a dead body in sight here, but it's almost a graphic image in and of itself, because you know that within the hour, these people will be murdered in the most horrendous way possible, to die in a gas chamber.
Yeah, women and children, and then the men at the back.
Yeah, and when you would go into the gas chamber with your child, and this little girl here, obviously I've got a little girl myself now, not much older than that, but in the last moments, what your child does in a strange situation is they look to you for protection. So the last thing that these parents will have seen is kind of their child looking to them for protection, and there's no worse thought than not being able to protect your own child. So and there's little details. they're well dressed, because they will have been told you've got to leave the house, so you would dress your child in their best dress. And the fact that she's got a bow in her hair and she's a little bit cold, you can see rubbing her hands together. But they also look quite bored, these people, and it shows that the subterfuge, the deceit has worked, and that they don't know what awaits them, because they were told, okay, you've had a long journey, you're going to go for a shower, then we're going to put you to work. And you can see the evidence of that dishonesty in this photograph. I take it you've seen this photograph before?
Yeah, not only in your from your collection, but yes, it's a known photograph, I think.
And obviously the victims in all of this are, it's really important to focus on the victims for a while, but you also think about who's behind the camera as well. And there's a really interesting question about the morality of viewing this image, because these people haven't given their consent. There's a perpetrator stood behind the camera, and he is violating these people in a very vulnerable time. So I have to question myself as to whether or not, obviously you can see that I've chosen that it's important for people to see it even without the consent of the victims, but it's an ongoing question that I believe is important to ask ourselves and perhaps discuss with our students. Now, moving to your photographs here, which one, this one first? Which one would you like first? Does it matter?
Okay. Yeah, no, it's fine.
Go on.
So on this picture, okay, which one? This one? So on this picture, you can see David Gur behind the microphone, and it was taken. The picture was taken by me in Kibbutz Hazorea, which is in the north of Israel, last year. And end of last year, there was a ceremony that the state of Israel gave awards to the Hungarian resistant movement members, posthumous, and also there's 4 survivors still. Among them, David Gur was the only one who talked behind the microphone. There was one other lady who was sitting in the audience, and she didn't go in on the stage, but she was also talking. There was more than 200 people in the audience, and it was a great organization that they were awarded last year. And on the other picture, what you saw before, where you could see me as well, there was David Gur and his wife.
I just want to make. I'll go to that in a moment. I just want to make one point about David Gur before we move on. He is the inspiration. We mentioned before at the beginning of the podcast. He's the inspiration of our project, and he's a team member. He's working with us, and I think that's quite an incredible thing for somebody in their 90s to spend their life trying to improve, make changes in the world. He's devoted to trying to make the world a better place through his story, and you can see that he's still
and he's not only helping us, he's not helping only us, he's helping with he writes articles. For example, he wrote an article in this book, the B'nai Brit book. There was in the Yad Vashem, there is a classroom project about the Hungarian resistance movement, which is called the Storm, Vihar in Hungarian, or in the middle of the storm. That's the title of it. And then he gave the data and the research to it. And then Chava Baruch was the educational supervisor there. It's another classroom project. So on this picture you can see So next to David Gur, there is Nomi Gur on the left-hand side with the red hair. She is a Wallenberg kid. So she was saved by Raoul Wallenberg, who we talked about before. And then this was in the Cinematheque, in an art cinema chain in Israel, in the Tel Aviv one. There was a film about Ochkai, who was in Budapest. He saved a lot of Jews in a sewing factory, which pretended to be a sewing factory in Budapest. And then there was this documentary film in the cinema about him and his life and what he did. And then David Gur was there with Nomi, his lifelong sweetheart, wife. And then in between me and David Gur, you can see Levente Benko, who is the ambassador to Israel of Hungary, and he's holding the book of David Gur, what was dedicated to him then, I guess. It's also a very recommended book to read. It's called in English Together Against the Flow, and it contains all the data from the Hungarian resistance movement. And then the next picture you could show, Jonny, please, and then I tell you what that is because we don't have that much time. Okay, so you don't see it very, very well, but now it's fine. It's better. It's the shutzpass, or the protection paper of my grandfather, who was born in 1906, 28th of March. His name was Sándor Donát, or Alexander Donát, and his mother was called Weiss Etel. He was born in Vágselje, which is Shala in Slovakia, in Slovak language, and I was born there too. And here, the Nunciatura of the Pope, so it's the embassy of the Pope in Hungary, that gave obviously it's a forged document, but it's from there. So it's not from the Red Cross, it's not from the Swedish embassy, it's from the Vatican. And then when he came back from Bergen-Belsen, I think that the Jewish Museum was opened in 1954, maybe, in Budapest, I forget, sometime around then. And then he gave it to the museum immediately, and it was on exhibition until like 7 years ago, when they changed the core exhibition. So you could see this on the wall in a big copy. Now it's a different core exhibition, but the Hungarian Jewish Museum is an amazing one, because they kept it, and now it's in the open storage, so you can see it.
Wow. That must be an incredible document for you to look. When you look at that, it must be incredible for you to look at that, because that's the reason that you're alive, that piece of paper. One of the reasons, but obviously without that, you're not alive without that piece of paper. So just to end, we always like to give the audience an opportunity for further learning. So